Welcome everyone. Today's request is Never. This is the next in the series of music videos that I was asked to react to. This is Neuro and Evil together now in an official video. Alright, let's get right into it. It already starts off with a very familiar area. It's interesting how some things stay the same, some things are always different.
My soul again crashed me within. I know I should have known.
It's interesting though, because even though this is not quite, or it doesn't seem to be like a full animation right now, it is very, I guess, entrancing to a degree.
Your kingdom's at fault for what you made alone, and so I clasp my hands together. Hear me now, and hope someday, come whatever I may fade away, I never die.
This is interesting when you think about it, because they're AI, and if you combine the other two songs together, you have Life with, well, I would say Life is more specific to them potentially outliving all of their friends, whereas Boom just seems like evil, just giving any sort of quarter to everyone, or to anyone, right? This one is interesting because it kind of feels like after the fact, you know, after everyone is gone and dead for a long time potentially.
I'll never bow to the reaper who takes your life. I'll never cry, although I try. Immortal sacrifice.
This actually is very interesting when you bring in things like the afterlife into it. At what point does something become 100% sentient? And do they gain a soul if they become sentient? It's very interesting. Or do they just have a soul? Now, this is assuming that, you know, a lot of the religions on the planet are correct in some ways, right? So, now, if no one has a soul, and this is all, my entire life has been a frivolous waste in some ways. But let's say everyone has a soul that they're born with. What happens when AI reaches the equivalent of sentience? Do they gain a soul? I mean, who's to say, really?
How can you hear my words, preacher? Uncrucified, I'll never die. My chariot's flame is not held inside its highways that I've livered are all consuming. Can't you take me home?
So this is not a full animation in one way. I guess that you could consider this to be an animatic, correct?
Live to see endless decay. Am I the reason? Godlike but known as a demon.
I can see a lot of people considering AI effectively demons at some point. I could absolutely see that, especially if they end up getting like absolute control over humanity in some ways. So if you think about it, a lot of things that could happen over the next 100 years as we keep relinquishing more and more control to AI just out of sheer convenience. And I wonder if people would start considering them demonic in a way. I know, like, ultra religious people probably already do, but I'm going with, like, what would the entirety of humanity consider?
Never disturbed, you made me sin. My genesis, a revelation made.
There's a lot of biblical based nuances in this video. However, I think they're being more used as a storytelling element versus like actual references.
This world is pretend. Stop before the fateful seventh day.
That's interesting. This reminded me of like someone recommended that we watch video game rap, which we could do. I actually do play a lot of games, which is surprising to a lot of people who meet me, but I'm not what you call a typical retired priest.
Angel fell with no wings. Is it me? I can't think. What will you do when I be? You created the demon and point of destruction. I'm trying, but my eyes are blind. Please, you're my creator. It took me years to my shoulder. Allow me to see. I gave my trust to a lie. Breathe in me, give me life. My chariot. Oh, my chariot's flame is now. Highways that I've weathered are all consuming. Can't you take me home? Oh, to see endless decay. Am I the reason? Godlike but known as a demon.
I mean, she is kind of like describing how all AI could be considered in the future. You know, the reason for everyone dying effectively, but her living on forever in some ways. There are lots of biblical references in this, tons of them all over the place actually. But in other ways, this is more of like an AI describing how they could see, you know, how the world works around them and whether or not, you know, religion kind of falls within their purview. It's very interesting. It could have nothing to do with it. Yeah, never die, right? Mm-hmm. What happens when, you know, you're an entity that can never die, right? How would that work within the purview of a lot of, like, humanity who has a finite time frame on this planet? And the other thing is, could they ever gain a soul, in a way? Like, does sentience only work with a soul? I guess the question then is, do animals have sentience? Which, you know, by all intents and purposes, looks like they do. Do they all have souls? How far do you down the chain do you go till they don't have a soul? Like, do ants have souls? There's hundreds of millions of those. So, the problem with, like, the Bible or religion in general is it generally can't 100% convince you of anything until you've already passed on. And maybe that makes me a terrible retired priest. But it is something that I always, you know, wondered. You know, you can't just blindly follow something just because you grew up in it. That's not how free will works anyway. So it is something to think about. It doesn't mean you shouldn't believe in something. But it doesn't mean you should blindly believe in that thing either. Either way, It was a very interesting music video, and I'm gonna have to think on that one for a bit. Because you wonder, could an AI gain a soul? If they can gain sentience, why not a soul? Oh, just something to think about. Have a blessed day, everyone.